Hello, welcome back to PlayBASIC Coders. Let's take a trip down memory lane. I was looking at the forums and in the development section, just down the bottom here, you've got to be logged in to see the maintenance areas, etc. There's updates, all that kind of good stuff. One of the updates is an alternate IDE. This is revision 37. Alright. What we've got here is we've got a central work area down here. This is a Debug Console, of course. If we go to new project, we can just call it whatever we want. Hey dude. Cool program, whatever. We can open the folder these are going to be recorded, opened or created within, and we have it as a default area of my program. So we can declare where this is going to be all the time. So we don't have to go searching for a place. It will create a project for it. But this part here is the same, isn't it? So we don't have the banner lines we do in Playwright. Not that we don't like those things, they're just, we just don't have them. Hello world. A few different things straight away, isn't there? This actually has awareness of a whole bunch of things. So it will give you the parameters for things, for example. So if you're doing new sprite, so you have its X position, its Y position, it's showing us that we're in the Y position at the moment. Image index if we need one. This image, whatever that would be. SPR. So that's type awareness. In general, there's a whole bunch of videos about this as those features were added. I'm not sure if I'll set this up for the compiler or not. Its default location for PlayBASIC is looking in the wrong location, so I don't know. We'll just try and run that. F5 can't locate PlayBASIC. That's fine. Yeah. So we have to tell it where the playbasic.exe file is, which will be different for every single person. Alright, pb, it's this file here, playbasic, that's the one. Hit change, it should be okay now. So if it hit compile and run now, yeah, compile it and ran it and return. Because our program doesn't do anything, doesn't stop at all. So if we hit, classic sync wait key, we'd get the window up front. Over here we have our source management or project management controls. So as we add more sources to something, we get new source, my functions or something. We get the My Functions window under the same project here up here. So you can close those windows down. If you swap between the two, sort of feels like you're moving between each one. Pretty straightforward sort of stuff, really. Some of the more interesting stuff is that you can go type vector 3D. Has some autocomplete stuff. You'll notice it entered N type for us, so we can just go X, Y, Z. Dim as now autocomplete as vector dot X equals random whatever. End of the line, thanks. Standard cut and paste. So it has some ability to understand what's going on within the document, and that extends to things like functions. Print hello world, that'll be our function name. Hit end, it closes the function for us. Inside this lovely function we'll print hello world from inside a function. trying to think if I added the autocomplete stuff for keywords. I don't think there is. Hello world. And you notice that it can highlight the functions as well. So it's aware of what the basic types are doing. If this has different parameters here, like, I don't know, xpos and ypos or whatever it is, so it's already giving us indication of what this function parameters are. So when we're typing this out, it would prompt us with, you know, what our functions are. So that's for user-defined functions. So it's pretty capable, and the way it works is really, it's kind of how I was talking about this, the secondary discussion the other day about building an IDE from the syntax highlight control from the Blitz Basic to PlayBASIC translator. This program is written in Visual Basic. It's completely graphical. Like, I'm just drawing the whole window here. This is all just straight basic stuff. All the side view there is all graphical. They're not window controls at all. They're just, except for these buttons, they are window controls. What windows have we got? We've got product control. We've got a screen, have we? Yeah, we can change the screen mode, the title, which is all hidden away in the normal PlayBASIC IDE. Okay, so we can set whether we're working with PlayBASIC or PlayBASIC effects from this one, which was around that same time we were working on the two things side by side. So it was kind of imperative that we have something that lets you just flick a switch and then build with the other one. We can't do that in this because I haven't got a PBFX install on this system at all. And those builds are, I think 2008 was about the last one of those that was floated. And ever since then we've been trying to separate ourselves from the two products. It's been quite a while. You know, I mean, for the last 6 years I've been full-time carer, so I couldn't do anything. But I'm back now, and we are going to do stuff. Do we have some projects to load? Crossfade between two images. This was something I wrote today. So if we run this, just F5. That's my dog, by the way. My dog's this one here with the bat ears, and that's my friend's dog, Goda. This is demonstrating altering the alpha channel with an AFX image. Back to it. There's not much really in that, is there? But you'll see up the top here we can have two projects in memory side by side, and they're tabbed. Something that's kind of evolved now as a standard within modern editors, I guess, in general, whether it's a programming environment or even my video editor works this way. They tend to have a tree over here where you've got, if you load different projects, you can click the trunk of the tree and it reveals any branches from that, which would be the source code. You know, let's tempt fate some more. What if we try something bigger? Alright, so we're loading, this is the Blitz to PlayBASIC translator. This is the actual code. We don't have things like the function controls over here where we could show the source inspector kind of stuff. But it is highlighted, it has understood the functions. You notice that user functions are actually there, and I can just go find declaration. Oh, sorry, clicked off it. Find declaration, so it does find those things. So I can navigate the code. It's a pretty big program. This application. This is, I don't know how many lines of code this would actually be. It's the Alexa part. If you looked at the HTML to PlayBASIC, or sorry, the PlayBASIC to HTML converter, you would have seen this code. I've just renamed some of the functions. BB Alexa. What a shock. labels have got their own colorization as well. Do I actually have any instructions in this? I do have a bunch of type handling stuff in there. Conversion, we'll go to that. Bunch of document stuff there. So this is the actual, oh no, it's the delete. New Blitz conversion project. This is how the conversion works. So we load the file in, we strip it, grab some information about the actual file name, or grab the project name from that. Because in Blitz you don't have a project file, you just have source files. Fair enough, no big deal. We just check what our current path is. If this thing exists, when we just grab a free project from the Blitz conversion project array, initialize it, grab a pointer to it so we never have to refer to it through this. Now I refer to me, I'm referring to this. It's just a way of shortening stuff. And you know that from this point on, we don't actually need to do that. So what I'm actually doing is, I'm in this case here, I'm pretty much doing type caching manually. So in this case, type caching would, for this program, probably wouldn't be of much benefit. I wonder if it's compile and run. Should compile and run from here. Yeah, works fine. It's kind of freaky, isn't it? Hit view. That's a pretty big code base. I doubt you can write that kind of a product of that size with this IDE at the moment. I'm not saying that's buggy, but it was built to a point but wasn't tested beyond that point really. So I love the fact that you can actually user-defined functions are highlighted differently, so you can differentiate between what's a user-defined function, etc. I like the navigation through the code. You can just switch the panel, whatever you want. Of course, you would need other things. This actually doesn't have our collapsing stuff at all. That was on the to-do list, but just never implemented. A bit clunky there when you change projects, because really each window is still there. So what I probably should have done is I probably should have just had, because I sort of had this idea at the time of at some points in my life when I've had a wider screen, it's been sort of cool to lay the two windows side by side and do that sort of thing where I'm looking at one thing and looking at something else. But that doesn't happen that frequently. And I think that if we have a render mode, if we have our own sort of split view render, which we could do quite easily, because the renderer in this thing here, this converter, it just renders to the viewport and whatever the viewport is. So all this here is just running pure PlayBASIC. It's just 165. Collapsing works properly, do all the highlighting, we can get all the same stuff. But in this version here, we can actually detect what's a variable, what's an array, what's a function, do all that kind of good stuff. So we don't need to have, this is not threaded, this is not fancy at all. Actually, it's incredibly simple the way it works. I wish I'd thought of this when I was writing the original idea. It's kind of a shame, really. But looking back on this, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I've seen worse editors than this, but this is nowhere near complete, My favourite part of this thing is actually the help file window. I love this a lot because it has a much better search. I've spent a lot more time. One of the problems you've probably encountered with the current IDE is when you do a search, you've got to match that keyword almost identical. This will give, I just search for sprite collision or something. It takes a while the first time you search, because it's looking through all of the HTML documents, stripping them all the HTML out into the raw text, and building a database that we can use from now on in. So gives us a list of shortcuts with previews of what's on the document. So we can go to Sprite. There's a command called image hit sprite pixels, and it's in the sprite command set. So look at it. So what we want, we can probably load that from there. We can load that from there, and just duck it down the bottom there and hit run. So here most of the things in the help files aren't graphical. They're just they're trying to demonstrate ideas quickly and simply. So we've got a sprite here what's being constrained by other objects by pixel. It's pretty cool. So we go back to the help. We can just go back. I can go back to sorry, is it back to the search result? No. Back to the search results. We might go to, I don't know. So everywhere that keyword's popped up, it's giving us some hints about that. Actually, down the bottom this is the Sprite tutorial. If you never looked at this thing, and you have a retail version of PB, I'm not quite sure this is in the Learning Edition or not, but it will be in the Learning Edition when we update that in the not too distant future. This is a huge document. There's all these sections here. This is one tutorial, and it covers pretty much everything you need to know about sprites. What are sprites? Right. Getting started with sprites. Some simple code snippets. You've got to cut and paste these in. A lot of these ones here are not runnable because you need the media to go with those things there. So I'm telling you that as we go through. And so I've got examples with animated GIFs like this one here, and what this code here is doing. So that's how we create motion. We have a variable that is changing, and we're redrawing this particular object using that variable each time we refresh the screen, and that creates the illusion of animation or movement. Huge bit of documentation. But out of all the things with this IDE, I love this page. This actually worked really well, and I was very proud of this. Very happy with the way I was happy with the way it sort of looks and feels and all the good stuff. It's relatively capable. It's not pretty. What else we got on this thing? Oh, it was a test icon. That's right. So I was kind of thinking about having all the windows be skinnable. So you would sort of have some graphical elements, and then you would just insert over the top. This is a live document. This is a thing, and because we would draw this background element here, it makes the application have its own custom appearance. So it doesn't look like a standard Windows application all the way through, because this would just be a graphical panel pretty much. As this panel here this is just a picture, and I'm just rendering the backdrop to it, rendering the text out to it. Food for thought. So if you've never seen this before, that is the secondary IDE. There's actually 3 IDEs. There's one that was written well before Empty started work on Playwright. Playwright is the one that you use and see all the time. Well, if you're using PlayBASIC at all, that is. Before this, Danny Watanabe, he wrote the first IDE, which is really like a combination interface between his scripting language and my scripting language. And then eventually we split away from that. You might be able to find some really old screenshots about that on the forums, but there's not many around. A few other people have had a go writing IDEs, and I commend them for it. It's not a fun process. As you can see there's like little errors where it's rendering outside the item there. It shouldn't be. The colors are ugly, but this is actually skinnable. The colors that we're using here are just coming from a bitmap that's drawn and grabs the elements off the bitmap and uses those to just for this display purposes, really. In recent times, a few people have mentioned doing updates, doing IDEs, because one of the things that does limit your progress with PB, and I actually find this. Set remove source. Do you want to remove main? Oh, sorry. Close project, thanks. Let's go to close that project. No, thanks. Crossfade between images. Close that project, thanks. Yeah, if you didn't think that Blitz converter program is a large bit of code, horrifying, isn't it? It did turn out to be a pretty big fat program, a lot bigger than I was anticipating. Just have a look at some of those things. We'll go to command sets. If I jump into a function, where are we? I jump into a function here. I go tokens, next token. Oh, it doesn't know what it is. Yeah, it doesn't. There you go. It doesn't know what tokens is because it doesn't know what make array is, I reckon. It probably knows make array from doing integer or float or string arrays, but not typed arrays. This is old syntax. In terms of modern syntax, we really should have tokens as blah blah blah. So I suspect that's one thing that doesn't work. Not that I'm going to fix it now, but that this thing here has got a type in it. So if I just go print me dot, yeah, let's go. As far as I'm concerned, a modern tool should have at least be aware of what fields you're looking at, give you an indication what these fields are, etc. And that would make writing larger programs easier, less typos, etc. And that, like, modern applications are just completely dependent upon them. Development, that is. Okay, that's interesting. What else have we got over here? We've got search things, select all, paste. Oh, the other thing I liked about this too is that I don't want to damage the source code. You can do this, which you can tab a block or hit. Oh, sorry. Is it Shift tab? Yeah, it's Shift and tab to go backwards and forwards. Because I always found that when you hit tab in Playwright, it would delete the block. I don't know why it does that. Something's highlighted. Just find it annoying. Not a big deal, but all right. That's my old IDE project from probably 10 years ago now. The history here too is interesting. Is that one of the things I don't like about the current, I didn't like at the time, is that when you loaded something and then went away and did something else and came back, you go, oh geez, where's that thing I was looking at yesterday or last week or last month? So I think with your history in terms of what you've loaded into your IDE, I think it's really important that this keeps a record of these things going forward. So this actually has an unlimited array size. And it just keeps, if I reload something, if I had more things here, it would scroll up and down, but we don't have that. But you just load up in the history. And it gives you the indication too about who wrote the thing, who wrote the project, when it was created, when the last time it was edited, that sort of little extra bits of information. And if we have more data in the project header, we could display like a picture up here or something like that, or the current screenshot or whatever. Or maybe do a search upon the history for certain things or whatever. I found that to be invaluable in the past because often you'll download something, put it somewhere in your hard drive, forget where it is. We all know how large systems are these days, but it's easy to just forget where things are. You unzip something or copy it somewhere else, and if the IDE can remember that and let us go back to it, much easier for people. That's the kind of stuff I want to make sure it's really intuitive when we move forward and do something else in the future. That's enough of this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I'm sorry, Dave, but I can't teach you that. Hell, teach me the code! Okay, Dave. PlayBASIC.com.